Check. Welcome again to Wickerson Studios. I am continuing with my study of simple scripts, converting them over to Rhino geometry as RG, playing more interested in Rhino Common as I move away from Rhino script syntax. I hope I can continue with this. I'm trying not to hard code anything into the scripts, and I'm complicating them a little bit. As we go in, you see your Python node, I'm adding more inputs. So I've gone in and I've set integers, hint types to integer on everything down here, number 1, number 2. And I've taken my start-stop steps. And if you take your start-stop steps, I think you'll find that I input those into the range. So basically, import Rhino geometry as RG. Points 1, 2, and 3 are made as empty lists. For X in range start-stop step. For Y, nested loop in range start-stop step. Points, you might want to go to Rhino script syntax if you want to deal with floats. I think it's X range or FX range or something like that. Point is then created point of x, y, and x times y, which provides this kind of interesting loft in the raising, not loft, in the z direction, which actually makes for a top view geometry that looks fairly interesting. I'll show it to you at the end what it looks like in perspective or side or right or front view. Then if the x modulus number 1 is equal to 0 and y modulus number 2 is equal to 0, which is the case in this because 6 divided by 3 equals 0. You're going to append the points, and then you're going to leave that function of range function and go down here, and you're going to pull out the points as points 1 out will come up as these points. You can sort of see them there. If I go here, you're going to see you only have 2 there. If LF x modulus 1 is 0 or y modulus number 2 is 0, then you're going to generate these points. You can see the geometries that are built there. And then, and actually these are actually, if we take a look at it, we've got 14 points, so 10, 8, 6 is 10. This one's going to tell us we have 2. I'm just making sure on the top view that these points are not over top of one another. Then else, points 3 will be appended to points, which gives you these points, and we should have 20 points, which is 4 times 5 is 20. And there you go. With that point system, you then take them and generate lines, lines, and lines, which I find interesting. Keep in mind these are three-dimensional. They're not on a 2D plane. They're actually coming up in the Z direction. You're going to sense that in a minute as I merge them, and I do a wonderful iteration like this. It's going to slow down a little bit, but as you see, I'm going to take those and use my variable pipe script that I use all the time, which generates this, and I'm going off of an ellipse, gives it a second to load, and there you go, to get a pretty interesting geometry. That, if you take it into animation, reduce this count down to something like 12. Let's do a little simple iteration through here, and there you go. You get this kind of building animation on this complexities that's not only understandable in this way, you can actually go into here. It's going to take a little longer as it plugs through the last bit of that script because it's 563 milliseconds to do that. I will show you just briefly over here that it is a structure that's actually kind of interesting as you get into lofting it up. If I was to take that and go back into this mode here and reduce this, let's see, if I went back in here and just left this as 0, you'll see my geometry. Don't forget my comma, so I'm going to bug out on myself. We're going to test it. You'll see it test exactly the same, but it's not as exciting in the, you'll see here, it's just running for a script. I think it's exactly the same, but otherwise it's slowing down. Yeah, you basically have it on kind of like it's, it still has a height in the Z because of the variable pipe. Let me do a zoom extends all. But it's not as exciting to look at in this way. It's just a pattern flat. I think it's interesting when you start to do things in the Z direction, and I just usually play off of my variables that are already in existence. And if you do want to take these over to floats, you're going to doing some weird maths with them, division, things like that, and you're going to end up with not whole numbers. Then you're going to have to go in and try and make these integers by just converting them over, which is a technique in Python. Can't remember what that's called. It's a pretty simple function, integer or something like that. When you go from strings to integers to floats and such. And I actually like this because I like the base of this one. I think this is a very simple, cool geometry down here. And what we haven't done is taken that and done a quick, it's going to take a little while on this because I have it set to technical over here and pen and artistic, which always takes a little longer for it to convert. And if it does crash out on you and not read too fast, we've done the bake. We can leave this. You can see it's still taking time to try and read. It had no problem on the rendered or there. But you end up getting these really nice drawings, and I'll just show you these. Like, I just find these amazing to go through. There's the right, there's the artistic, and you can customize these views. You don't have to be set in these ways. It's very interesting to think about that because you're ending up with 500, and I could have made them uniform and brought them together. But let's just see what that data actually is coming out as a list, as a panel tool. You have a lot of close reps, so you work them independently, you could group them, you could join them, and then you can go back into CAD and see what you end up making. But otherwise, I do like the top view. I think that's pretty nice in the technical. And thanks very much for watching.